there's a 1 beat toss where you toss the poi, it does a rotation in the air, and then you catch it. That is not as friendly for indoors, especially if you don't have a high enough ceiling, as the no-beat toss, which is what the combination that you just showed me is. That one. I think that's what you were doing. So this guy is the no-beat toss, where all you do, is release the poi and catch it with the same hand. Now, the first thing that I would do to get familiar with this, so there's a version of this where it's to the outside, which I think is harder than to the inside, right? And then there's also your dominant hand and your less dominant hand. So if it were me and I were you, I would start with your less dominant hand going inward, which is slightly easier. You would mirror what I'm doing right now, and you would go like this, where you're just practicing. So you want to basically be able to, in theory, release it, not move your hand, and have it land in your hand. Now, if you're wondering about the point of release, for me, I feel like it's right as it's approaching what looks like 9 o'clock to you, right? So as it's approaching here, you're going to release, toss it up, and in an ideal world, do better than I just did there, and let it land in the same place. So you don't, in theory, you shouldn't have to move your hand, in theory. So this does work better with the counterbalance. If you have knob handles, the way to have a counterbalance is to put more washers in the handle. If you have a knot, what you do is you pull the knot out, you undo the knot, you stick more washers in, you redo the knot, and you pull it back down. The point at which you do it typically is as it's approaching this horizontal. And I think for me, it was helpful starting with this linear extension where I'm bouncing my hand up and down, right? So I'm sliding my hand up and down and practicing doing this circle in front of me so that as I'm coming around the bottom of the turn towards this horizontal point here, my hand is lifting up to do the linear extension. At that point, that's where I do the lift, the release, so that I can catch it again as it's coming over the top and down to the 3 o'clock point as you see it. Although from the user perspective, I'm releasing at your 3 o'clock and catching at your 9 o'clock. I'm releasing at my 9 o'clock and catching at my 3 o'clock, roughly. And then, so in the beginning, I'd say start with this linear extension. Then once you can go up and down and you feel the motion and you can feel the lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. As it's coming around here, 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 that's where you're going to start to release, release. Then go back into your linear extension. And then release, go back into your linear extension. And then release, go back into your linear extension. And then release, go back into your linear extension. And then after you've gotten it, most of the time, you don't have to get it every single time. After you've gotten it most of the time, you can try and do 1, 2. Then you can try and start doing it where you're doing as many in a row as you can do. Then you can start doing it where you're trying to go around your hand. So then what you have to do is, as the poi is coming up here, right? So your hand would be here, but you're trying to throw around your hand. Now, you may need to get your hand out of the way in between if you're not doing it consecutively, or else what will happen is if I do 1 toss and then I catch, it'll wrap around the hand if I don't move it out of the way. So you're going, you're in your linear extension, you're getting ready, then you're like, okay, this time, boom, and then move the hand out of the way. You're back in your linear extension. Okay, getting ready, put your hand in, go around, and bring it out. You're getting ready, put your hand in, and move it out. Then, once you start doing that consecutively, you can start doing multiple times around the hand. Then that's when you can start trying to do. Um, I would say just starting from the lockout is useful, where you try and go around, whoopsie, where you try and go around the hand. And I'm making a bigger circle because it gives you more time. But just starting from this circle rather than from the weave, I think it's harder from the weave personally because you have to figure out, wait, where in the weave am I supposed to do it? I have to turn my body. This way you're just on the same plane. Then once you have that basic motion, I think it's easier to get it from the weave. The other thing is if you're trying to actually go into the weave, when you do the toss, you want to be able to go into the right position of the weave so that you can go back directly into the weave, which I think just makes it harder than just doing this continuous no beat. So that would be, let's say, your less dominant hand. Then you would repeat everything you just did with your dominant hand so that you could, whoa, I can't see because the light's in front of me. That's actually an interesting thing too. When you're doing it with fire, or if you're doing it in low lighting, when the poi streaks, for me, I find that it can sometimes, maybe it's just my aging eyes, but I feel like sometimes because you have to adjust to the light, I feel like it can be difficult to maintain focus on it. So, so this is my less dominant hand. Again, you'd start with your linear extension, then a release, linear extension, then a release, linear extension, then a release. Then you would do multiple releases. Better than that. Then you would stick the hand out. And then you would do multiple times. And then you would do it again on this side from the lockout. Ah! Losing my headset, losing my poi, losing my balance, losing my mind. You mentioned something very, very valid. The timing matters, right? So if you're like, wait, where's the timing? I'm a bit hesitant to stick it in there. Yes, it makes perfect sense because if you stick it in at the wrong time, just like with a thread the needle, it's going to wrap around your hand. So one thing that you can do that helps, and one of the reasons why I had you start with the linear extension is it makes the path longer, take longer to do, which gives you more time to get your hand in there. More time to stick it in. Stick it in the slot at just the right time, Timing matters, just like size. No, do better than me. I mean, as you start getting better with it, then you can start doing things like playing games where you're keeping track of, okay, how many times in a row can I do it? So my record in this direction, this is, even though I demonstrated for you as your less dominant hand because you're mirroring me, this is my dominant hand. For me, I think like 128 in a row of those is my record, whereas I think my record in this direction is like 87. That is like a big difference, a huge difference.